She is a goddess that got a new mission to save an S-rank world. Even though she's still a B-rank goddess, why the fuck they gave her such an impossible task? She's dead for sure. She tries to calm down and start searching for somehow a human she can reincarnate to this world and guide him to level up and defeat the godlike demon lord. She accidentally stumbles into a weird one. She gets shocked by the states of this human. How can someone have states like this? But that's it. He is for sure the perfect one for this world. She rushes to draw the summoning circle, cleans her hand and starts saying the spell with the chosen human name. Reincarnate. A golden light hits the floor mixed with lightning, and a human figure appears in the circle. He's hot. She holds her lust and tries to act cool and mighty, while introducing herself. Reincarnate from Earth. This might be shocking for you, but I'm Goddess Restart. You are the hero who will save the world of Giabrand from the demon lord. But he doesn't replay for a while, and she thinks that he's enchanted. By her, of course.
What kind of freak drops a bomb like this on a stranger?
Freak! Are you talking about me? Oops.
She holds herself and explains to him that he is on a proper duty to save a world from evil. He says if you really are a goddess, why don't you do it by yourself? She calms herself down and explains the rules to him, but he says she looks so sus. He can't trust her, so she tells him how to open his statues. And he finally agrees, but asks her to get some time first, to train and get ready. She thinks that he is actually afraid and opens the gate to the magical world saying it's okay. We will start by hunting some slimes and level up, but Seiya says no thanks. You expecting me to jump into some demons? Are you nuts? She tries to assure him that she can heal him anytime, but he says it's obvious that you called me here cause you can't pull it off yourself, and suddenly slaps the wall and makes her heart beat, while taking his shirt off saying if we gonna do it, I have one condition. And Restart thinks she gonna get her cheeks clapped. But the dude just starts doing push-ups and says I gotta get prepared first. So Restart remembers a warning about his character she missed, impossibly cautious. She complains to another mega mommy milker goddess about the human she got. They should have been fighting monsters and leveling up his powers right now. But it has been days and they didn't even leave the gods real till the moment. She advises her about how to deal with him and maybe try to act more like a friend to him. She rushes back to Seiya to find him still training and tells her to knock on the door first. But that's her house already. She brought him some Japanese food, but he says that looks sus, and makes her eat one first to check for poison. Then says maybe it's not a fast-acting poison. She leaves him basic things for a living and a figure phone to ring when he's finally ready to leave. But he suspects that it has a bomb inside. She leaves before she loses her mind and waits for him. But days and days had passed and she thinks that he died already. But he still eats his meals, till finally it rings, and she rushes to him to find him sweating. Damn, she would love to touch his muscles, but she holds her lust and goes to check on his status, but gets surprised at how he insanely leveled up to level 15 by just training and how the fuck he got all these unique skills. Restart opens the world's gate. They are supposed to be his heroes, but Seiya smiles and says I'm 100% ready perfectly. But she pulls his arm and they go through the gate. They get to a green wide land with a far village at the end, and decides to take a look around and buy some stuff to start their journey. But Seiya suspects every villager to be a shape-shifting monster or hidden trap for them. They ask a cute little girl for directions and get to the weapons shop. Restart gives him some gold to buy what he needs. He likes an armor and decides to buy it. But he orders 3 pairs of this armor, one to use, one as a backup, and one as a backup for the backup. She takes the money from him and decides to buy the stuff by herself. And he's now ready in full gear, like a real hero. But he takes what's left of the gold and buys all the herbs he perhaps might need, but 50 times the amount as a pack-up. Restart tries to tell him that this is a far village with only weak monsters around. It's perfect for beginners to start with, so he doesn't have to be afraid this much. And a little girl dancing confirms it and says that even she can walk to the next village alone. There are only slimes around here, but deep inside Seiya's head there is a voice saying, this little girl looks so sus. The little girl gives him a charming gift that he takes carefully and checks it saying, so this is not a cursed item. But Restart shuts him up before he continues and the little girl's father arrives and apologizes for the trouble. Finally, they can go to start hunting monster, but Seiya takes cover from a slime and suspects if it's a genetically modified monster.
Slimes jump at you when they attack, but they're so weak that practically anyone can kill them with just a stick. So...
Seiya charges his full power and activates his ultimate atomic split slash on the slime that causes mass destruction around the area. Restart tries to say that this is an overkill for just a slime, but Seiya says I'm not done yet. It might be faking death, So he charges his mana and casts a hellfire spell that sets everything on flame and sends a fire column to the sky. She tries to explain that it's already gone, but he screams, "You can't trick me, slime," and keeps attacking and attacking all day non-stop, till he is finally done after a long while.
Done.
Oh, it's just a slime! You vaporized it on the first atomic whatever!
Always be on guard.
Ristart takes a breath and says, "Since you are already this strong, let's move to the next village already." But suddenly, a dark aura covers the area, and a demon comes dragging a giant sword saying, "That's impressive. You must be the one. Let me introduce myself, please. I'm one of the 4 heavenly king's forces that serves our great demon lord. I deliver death to his majesty's enemies." Chaos Machina. Ristart gets shocked that a powerful enemy showed up this early and asks how did she know that the hero is here. The demon girl says, "I guessed you were gonna start with a far and weak monsters area to level up at first. So I came to end you before you get stronger." Ristart tells Seiya this is bad, she is crazy strong. But the dude already left her and started running for his life. The demon girl gets excited and feels the lust for hunting and starts chasing after them, while Ristart is screaming, "How the fuck you ran and left your goddess behind." But Seiya throws a smoke grenades at her to use it as cover and grabs her away from the demon hit and start running, and asks her to open this gate to the god's realm. But she screams, "We can't do this. That's cheating." But she sees death coming at her and opens it instantly. And Seiya shoots the demon with a hellfire spell at the last moment before they disappear into the gate. But the demon girl isn't even bothered and looks back at the far village. The two get back to Ristart's house in the god's realm, and Seiya grabs her head and pushes her away. Then he kicks her out saying, "I need to train. Come back when I'm done like last time." And again, she waits for days but no call back from Seiya at all, till she sees that demon girl took the villagers as hostages and says she will have a little head harvest every 10 minutes. She murders the first hostage and can't help loving the red color squirting everywhere. It reminds her of the day she lost her virginity. Ristart instantly runs to Seiya, but he says, "I'm not done yet." She says, "What are you talking about? The villagers are about to die." But he resumes training. They see the demon got another hostage. It's that little girl's father from earlier. And Ristart attempts to open the gate, but he stops her and says, "I'm not ready yet." She tells him they can figure something out by mixing her healing and his skills during the fight. Whenever she argues with him, he just keeps doing push-ups till she starts crying, calling him a coward, and leaves. But she hears his voice saying, "If I die, the whole village will be murdered and the whole world will be lost. That's why I can't afford to die. I'm prepared for all the odds. I'm 100% ready perfectly." Ristart gets happy and opens a gate to the village. But Seiya hits her saying, "You idiot. If she sees us, she will kill the hostage directly." Opens it a little far from the village. She tells him to at least be gentle to her.
Oh, sure. I should be more careful. Huh? I wouldn't want to pick up any cootie germs.
My hair is clean, you 6-year-old meathead!
The demon girl gets bored waiting and changes her mind and decides to chop the father's head right now. But she hears a dude saying "Wind Blade" and dodges the attack at the last second. She says to Seiya that you really have the ball to come back. But when she checks his status, she gets shocked to see that he's totally different. She says it will be boring to fight you like this. Unleash. Dark energy starts moving in her body and starts to grow, and her muscles extend like crazy and all her status skyrockets. She suddenly attacks Seiya, and he barely saves his neck. But she keeps swinging her sword to get his head while he's still dodging it somehow. She gets annoyed and says, "What a hassle. I'm sure I can fuck you up, but I want to make you desperate from the gap between us before you die." Ristart warns Seiya to watch out. The demon girl stabs her sword into her body and shouts out saying, "Watch my curse delivering death to every living being." Suddenly something dark starts rising from her corpse while a predator scream is heard loudly in the area. Ristart starts shaking in fear. This thing in front of her is like the demon lord from the world she saved before. The demon flies to the sky and falls down, smashing Seiya with the ground, sending a shock wave everywhere. Ristart starts crying, apologizing to Seiya for bringing him to this world. But Seiya is still alive and has stopped the attack with a single hand. Even the demon can't believe this, and Ristart concludes that he must have been faking his true states. She keeps trying hard to see the real states, but she gets shocked to see that this motherfucker was so much stronger than the demon. The demon flies high to the sky and starts forming all the dark magic into her final spell. Demonic Delete. Ristart is still shaking at how fucked Seiya's mind is. He was actually using the fake skill since the very start. This dude is sick. He is totally unhinged. The demon gets shocked to see Seiya suddenly flying next to him. When did he learn flying skill? Seiya drags out a magic sword as well and releases a phoenix dive on it before he can even react. The demon was truly powerful and could any normal hero. But this dude is no hero, he's just a sick person. Ristar rushes to hug Seiya, but he says, is this an attempt to squeeze me to death? But she asks him why did he hide his true power from her. He says it's a pack up against enemies, but she says you could have told me. He says, what if there is a brain monster that can get the information out of your mind? So I had a backup plan for the backup. And warns her not to touch him again, cause she still looks sus. All the villagers come to thank the hero for saving them, and they bring all the gifts they can and offer to start a party to celebrate this. But Seiya says he has important things to do. He starts collecting the demon remains and cracks his fingers. Ristar can already guess what he's gonna do.
Casting Hell's Fire! 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 Hell's Fire!
Ristar says you didn't have to do this, but Seiya cuts her, saying if a single cell of her escapes she might regenerate again. Now it's time to finish her.
Maximum Inferno!
And he cast a much stronger spell that makes everyone run for their lives and fire caught on the buildings, while Ristar begs him to stop it and saves what she can of the villagers from burning alive. But she hears Seiya shouting Maximum Inferno again and sends nuke-like fire column to the clouds. After hours, he finally leaves after the village mayor begs him to not come again. Ristar says at least we make some progress, and we are moving to the next village. But Seiya says, are you dumb? We can't go like this after they know I can kill a heavenly demon king, and tells her to open the gate to the god's realm again to start preparing for the next one. Ristar doesn't even argue with him that this is cheating and opens it. She lost hope for any sensible talk. Ristar gets back complaining to the Mega Mommy Milkers goddess again about Seiya. This isn't an adventure at all. All what this dude does is work out all day. She wanna be like her, a person who saved 300 worlds. But she corrects her that she lost one of these worlds. Ristar tries to say it's just one compared to all this you saved, but she says no, it's not just one. It was the only one for people living there, and was supposed to be an easy B rank world, but she carelessly missed something that made the hero lose to the demon lord and the world got destroyed. But suddenly Seiya breaks in saying this where you have been hiding. The Mega Milker goddess drops her tea like she saw a ghost, and gets closer to Seiya while holding some emotions and introduces herself. But Seiya jumps into the subject directly, and says he did hit a wall, and no matter how he's training he doesn't level up. Ristar gets happy and suggests he starts beating monsters now, but he says that's kinda risky. So the Mega Milker's goddess suggests he gets one of the gods to train him, and Seiya likes the not risky idea. But Ristar says isn't this cheating, like he's literally getting a god to train him. But she tells her to try and see if something happens. They go to one of the gods who's training. His name is Cerseus, the Divine Blade. The Mega Goddess asks him to train Seiya, and he likes the idea as to kill some time, then goes to warn Seiya that this will be like hell for him, since only gods can handle this. But Seiya tells him that there won't be any giving up midway through, and they start the training directly. The next day, Ristar is bored doing nothing and jumps into Cerseus. She decides to check on how is Seiya's training going on, and he tells her that he's actually doing a great job. The second day, she sees Cerseus again and decides to go check again, but he's slurring his words and says that everything is fine. The third day, she looks for him to check how is Seiya doing, but she finds him in bad shape and asks if he has been on a diet recently. But he loses it and screams at her to let him eat in peace. Then he apologizes for this and leaves dragging his sword, so depressed. At fourth day, Ristar decides to make them some snacks to be able to check on how is Seiya doing without getting shouted at. While she's getting the onigiri, she gets scared of Cerseus's face. He's hiding and asks her to stay quiet. She asks what's going on, and he replies saying that this dude is sick. He doesn't let him take breaks or sleep at all, even though he already got 3 times stronger than him. But he doesn't want to stop till he gets 100 times stronger. This dude is a super maniac. But suddenly Seiya shows up and freaks the shit out of them. He says we need to make up for all the time he wasted, and drags Cerseus back while telling him they aren't gonna waste another second in such excuses like sleeping or eating. Ristar gets summoned to Goddess Ishtar, who tells her they need to get back the world. There is something bad going to happen, but they are gonna meet up with some allies as well. She gets back to get Seiya, but she finds him beating up Cerseus and asks what the hell he's doing. He tells her not to interrupt his training, but the look on Cerseus's face doesn't say that he likes this method of training. She tells him they need to go now. Giabrant is in great danger. Seiya gets up kicking Cerseus and says whatever, I'm 100% ready perfectly anyway. They get to the Samuel's town, but they see a group of people rushing to evacuate. Ristardt rushes to ask what's going on, and they tell them that the castle in the north had fallen, and the undead forces are coming to this town. Seiya asks Ristardt about these undead things and how to deal with them. She says that fire and holy water work on them, so he goes to a shop that sells holy water bottles. The owner starts showing off with how many he got, and Seiya suddenly orders a 1,000 holy water bottle. The owner tells him that this is too much, and there is a limit to what he can provide. But Seiya pulls him to his face and promises to beat him for being such a loser who can't do such a simple order like this. But Ristardt saves the guy, and they only get 10. They get to the church where they are gonna meet their new allies. A father recognizes them and warmly greets the great hero and goddess, and introduces them to the dragon-blooded warriors who will help them. Seiya suddenly starts pouring the holy water on his head. Ristardt tells him what the fuck is he doing, but the father actually starts making a reaction to the water. He was an undead hiding between them, and the two dragon warriors step to stop him, but Seiya ends him instantly without even anyone being able to see his moves. The father says that's bad. You all gonna die to my great heavenly king, Deathmagla, and his 10,000 undead army that will be here by tomorrow. It's too late to run now. But Seiya says thanks for saying loudly all the information I needed to know, idiot. So, you are still alive after I cut you. That's interesting.
Everyone run!
But why?
What's he doing? Just run, trust me!
And Seiya shouts with his ultimate maximum inferno that turns everything into mass destruction. But he doesn't stop. After a few hours, the sister regains her consciousness, but she sees the holy church that was founded 1,000 years ago totally destroyed. While the two dragon-blooded, Mash and Alulu can't believe how much the hero is strong, but Seiya starts pouring holy water on Alulu's head, Mash also, and the unconscious sister, and even the goddess Ristardt. He explains that he didn't trust any of them, and they all looked sus, but now they look more sus. Mash and Alulu get scared to see two weirdos looking at them. Ristardt tries to explain to Seiya that their states might be so low, but they gonna evolve. But Seiya immediately refuses this weak losers, because with their given stats, they will only slow him down. Just then, the knights arrive after hearing the explosion. On seeing the hero and goddess, they share how a horde of 10,000 undead is approaching this town. With an army of 300, they would not be able to take the horde down, and request the hero to help them. Seiya asks them to pay for his services, and they offer 1,000 gold coins. He agrees and hands him a piece of paper to write it down as proof, cause he doesn't trust them either. With it, he isn't gonna wait for the undead army and decides to go to them alone, cause he doesn't need people who will slow him down, and tells the others to do something useful, like helping the guards to protect the town or whatever. And Mash leaves angry, saying he doesn't care anymore. With his flight skill, he flies toward the horde with a sonic speed. Rista can't believe that he left her, and calls for the sky to release her godly wings that are beyond the definition of speed. She will teach him a lesson, and catch up to him. But Seiya increases his speed in a way that makes her direct all her powers to the wings to be able to catch up, but it's not enough. And Seiya comes back to her, and grabs her hand. She thinks that he's a nice dude after all. But suddenly he speeds up in a crazy way that got her pillows almost gonna fall from her body. But they reach it, and see the undead army marching. Suddenly Rista sees a huge shadow covering the sky and gets scared to see a meteor falling and wipes out the whole army with one shot. And Rista wonders when did he learn this godlike skill. Seiya says he learned it from beating this blade god or whatever his name. She doesn't want to be mean to dragon-blooded kids, but this motherfucker alone is enough. And Seiya launched another meteor strike on the dead army to make sure they were 100% dead. And gets tired and says it's hard to keep going. Rista thinks that this skill must have consumed much of his mana points.
I started out with 15,000 MP. There's just 13,000 left.
After a few days, Alulu doesn't find Mash anywhere and asks Rista for help. She tells her that he might be upset by Seiya's words and will show up soon. They decide to go check on Seiya, but they see him holding an amazing silver sword and ask how he got this. He says he made it by mixing a normal sword and a god's hair using his combined skill. It's Rista's failing hair that he collected from different spots. But suddenly they get a delivery, and the inn owner tells them that a dude with a hood left it for the hero. Seiya suspects if it's a bomb and makes Ristardt open it. But it's a normal mirror made with good quality. Suddenly the reflection disappears and a figure appears in the mirror. It's Mesh, but he's tied up, and a weird figure steps into the scene to introduce himself. He's Death Magla, one of the 4 heavenly demon kings. He wasn't with the undead army that he owned and was controlling them from afar. He had fun playing with this living being and testing his tools on him. But sadly, he gotta end this fun time. Seiya whispers to Rista to open a gate to the divine realm. Then he tells Death Magla that he faced a situation like this before, so he's always prepared for any possible simulations. Death Magla says, "Are you an idiot? We aren't even in the same room. I'm gonna cut his throat in a second." But suddenly he sees his hand was cut off, as Seiya has a backup plan with a sword that cuts through the fabric of space. Rista says this is above logic, but Seiya pushes her through the gate. Since time in God's reel is faster, they have about 15 minutes to save Mush. They go to the great goddess Ishtar and ask her to tell them the location of the Death Magla. But she says that's cheating, and Seiya tells her that he got tired of these rules that you gods keep making without doing any actual help. This makes Ishtar changes her mind and opens a gate for them directly into Death Magla's hiding castle. Seiya instantly hits him with hellfire and lets Rista have time to rescue Mash and uses her healing spells on him. She looks back to see Death Magla covered with a black flame that protected him from Seiya's attack. Then the dark fire turns into a monster-like ghost that doesn't get affected at all with Seiya's attack. Death Magla introduces his greatest hidden card, Dark Furus. Rista can see that he's immune to all types of attacks except ice magic. Death Magla says the only way to defeat him is to use oscillatory wave skill, then ice magic to give him a physical form. But that's why the unprepared hero can't defeat him, cause you are also a fire type and can't use the water or ice as it's the opposite type. However how strong you are, only the strategic and the most prepared side wins. After all this talk about preparations, Ristart knows who's the most cautious freak who has thousands of backup plans for every single possible simulation a living being can predict.
Is this really happening?
Pretty much.
Why did you announce loudly something ordinary like this? Suddenly he uses his fists to cause an oscillatory wave that causes much damage to the fire ghost. Then he hits him with an ice punch that freezes the whole monster's body. Death Magla screams that's impossible. You are a swordsman, how can you use your fists and have fire and ice at the same time? Seiya tells him he had already predicted all this and prepared an ice magic bracelet. Actually, he prepared a lighting, a dark and a light bracelets, and so on. Death Magla says, how far have you gone? But even with this, you can't break through Dark Furus max level defense. Seiya says, are you sure about that? Then he uses the Phoenix Dive skill with one shot to destroy the ice body monster. Mash can't believe that this monster is actually defeated. And Ristart goes to remind Seiya that he's the creator of the undead that doesn't die after they've been cut. And Seiya says, that's right, I gotta be extra careful this time.
Maximum Inferno!